there's a big effort that has to be done to find where your passion is, because it's only, you cannot rely on luck to kind of choose a role, choose a job, choose an industry, and then you happen to like it. When you want to coach someone, you coach him because you care about his success or her success. So you have to develop that care for the person. You are a mother, you're very happy, but yes, I cannot be as present as my colleague. And this is part of the equation in my, and many women take a decision at that time in their life to stop working. I guess there should be an intentional effort to be done with young girls to create that passion for technology, and we are all responsible for that.
Could you expand on maybe some of the challenges you faced as a woman?
Looking at it from a macro perspective, I cannot say that there are lots of challenges, but if you go micro, yes, meaning you would have been through a situation where you feel it's not fair.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second episode in our podcast, Women in Big Tech. We want to thank everyone for the feedback you have given us, and your support means the world to us. I would like to reinforce the fact that we take your feedback very seriously. So if you have specific questions you would like us to ask our guests, please feel free to forward those, and we will happily take them into consideration. I will leave the rest of the intro to my colleague Ban, who will introduce our special guest for today. I'm sure you guys will love this episode, so stay tuned.
Thank you, Abdullah. Now, our guest for today is someone I'm very excited to both meet for the first time and introduce to you. Hoda Younan is Marketing and Operations Director across countries in the Middle East and North Africa at Microsoft. She's filled multiple leadership positions over the past years, including enterprise lead and the country lead for Lebanon. Her journey at Microsoft includes work in sales in the industries like government and finance, and management and marketing. She's known for her passion for technology, and I honestly want to use this time to get to know her story better. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome you, Huda, and thank you so much for joining us and taking the time today. There's so much we want to ask you. So, I'll just go right ahead and do it because usually in the beginning, we want to take a step back and know the road that led you to this success. I did a bit of digging, and I know you did computer science in university. So tell us a little bit about your early life, your early career decisions. What happened there? What was your life then? Who were you then? Tell us.
Thank you, Ban, and thank you, Abdullah. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for asking me to really be with you, to share my story. It's as exciting for me as well. So, look, originally, in fact, I am a computer engineer, and this is where how I started. It's true that it is, in fact, it's back in the early 90s. And by that time, technology was really something else. Meaning nothing from what you see today. It was an industry by itself. It was a siloed industry. It was not really part of everything you do. And I got there by accident. It's true that I didn't have the opportunity that the young people have today to be initiated to technology and to go to technology from, a passion to technology perspective. So at that time, I went there by accident. I went to engineering because I was good in math. I went to computer because for me it was maybe the coolest of the choices I had in electrical engineering. So I was there really by accident and not from a passion perspective. But, it was interesting. Technology is always interesting. And if you look at how it changed over the years, it started I started enjoying what I'm doing. But if I want to really say when I developed that passion for technology, it's probably, in the last 6 7 years when we started to feel that it's touching everyone's life. When I started seeing that technology is not only for me, it's my work, but it's the way my kids are living, it's the way my parents are using it, it's my friends using it, etc. So this spread, it's then that I I felt really how lucky I am to be in this industry, and how lucky I am to be in an industry that today is an anchor in any other industry or in any other thing that is happening. And look at us now where we are, with all the changes that happened. So again, I went there, I was there by accident, but I enjoyed all the way. And like anyone, I really wanted to. I was hardworking, and not missing a single step in that whole career. So this is why I'm here. Definitely, I'm lucky to have joined Microsoft. So for me, and it happened almost 14 years ago. That was a big change, and I'm really enjoying as well what I'm doing now with all the changes that I've done through the different roles that I have taken.
That's amazing. I mean, yeah, 14 years is a very long time, but I'm sure you've learned a lot. I mean, you've touched on some very, very important topics, at least for me, and that is the notion of passion. So the most common questions we get from people is, I don't really know what to do, especially for recent graduates. So you said that people nowadays get into technology, it's more because of passion, because, obviously there's a lot of light on it. And, back in the days, you kind of get into tech by accident. And you said that you did not have that passion, but obviously you were very successful in that industry. So one of the most common questions we get from our viewers is, I don't really know what I like, and I don't have a passion for anything. So what's your advice for these people? What would you tell people who are just entering the workforce? They might not necessarily have a specific passion, or they might not have found their passion. What's your advice on these? Do you think that passion can be developed? Do you think that they should just find something they're good at? What's your take on that? I'm just curious to know more about that.
Look, definitely, if someone, and definitely there's a big effort that has to be done to find where your passion is, because you cannot rely on luck to kind of choose a role, choose a job, choose an industry, and then you happen to like it. Like anything in life, when you engage, if you have the time really to plan and to discover what you like, what are the things that you would want to do, it's a lot better. But in some of the cases, like in my example, meaning I changed my mind probably 20 times, meaning from wanting to do a medical doctor to a translator and things that have nothing to do. And that is a big problem for young people. And maybe at that time when I'm living in Lebanon at that time, was really war, and we didn't have all the opportunities that people have today. I would recommend really that everyone to take this seriously, to take his or her career very seriously, and to plan for it, and to think what do I really want to do, and even take the luxury sometimes of because we don't like to lose time. We like to go out of school and start university and start something. And sometimes if you're not sure, maybe it's better to take some time to think of, to probably explore some things before you go. Because if you engage not in the right career, you cannot be successful. For me, you cannot be successful in doing something you don't enjoy and where you are not happy. Because the most important thing is that you enjoy what you do and you can feel happiness in what you do. Otherwise, you will not be successful. You will not be able to grow in the job. So look, you have to find your passion. So don't do like I did, maybe because I relied completely on chance. And maybe, because I was able to embrace something that where I don't feel a lot, and I was able to develop that passion, but it might not happen with everyone. So I don't recommend that at all. And now I'm a mother. I have two young ladies who are already professionals. I completely coached them and in a way left them to choose what they want to do, and did not try to influence them at all, so that they really imagine and go to their future as they wish it to be, not as others recommend them. And this is a very, very important phase in life, and people have to take their time deciding for it.
This is a really important point you touched there on coaching your own kids. And I want to ask about your coaches during your career at Microsoft, starting with your first job at Microsoft. So you started at Microsoft as I'm not sure what, maybe I should ask. And then you developed your career super quickly. You're super successful now. And I'm sure that you had people across the way to help you. How did you choose these people? Who were the people who changed it for you? And how do you know how to approach a mentor or a coach? Or for your kids, they're very lucky to have their mom as a super successful executive, but for other people, what would be your take on that?
So when I joined Microsoft, initially I joined as financial services industry sales lead for Middle East and Africa. Um, it's look the same way you are probably your first coaches would be your parents, but as well your first coaches would be your managers. But here as well, you might have a manager who could be a good coach, but you might as well have a manager where his forte is not coaching. He's very good in what he does, but it's not about coaching. And I believe coaching, you learn how to coach. It's not something that comes with you, because it's a science by itself. And as managers in Microsoft, we have gone through a lot of trainings to teach us how you become a good coach. But as well, it has to have this care aspect in you, meaning coach. It really depends on how you project yourself. And it's very good that you choose a coach who could be a role model to the way you see yourself progressing. And then you have to go and have the courage to approach that person and tell him or tell her, look, I believe, I can gain from you. I can learn from you. Are you open to have me? Are you open to mentor me? And mentoring or mentorship and coaching are completely different. So are you open to help me, either by coaching me on my best next steps, or by being my mentor and helping me as well choose my path? So it is first of all opening connections, looking at people, observing, seeing from these people who could be good role models for you, but as well having the courage to approach those people and go through that with them, and push them to kind of come with you on this journey. And once you started, you have to have the growth mindset to hear things as they are, and allow the coach to coach you, or allow the mentor to mentor you, and listen. As we always say, we have 2 ears and one mouth. Listen a little bit, learn, and then apply, and then have the courage as well. If you feel that this is not taking you anyway, if you feel that mentorship or is you're not progressing and you're not enjoying it and you're not learning, you have to take as well the decision to say it's not working well, and going back to the person, thanking them, and stopping it there. So you might have good and bad experiences. It's really about observing, choosing the right person, and having the courage to approach that person and to ask for that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I totally agree with what you said about, in order to be a good coach, you really need to care about the person. It's more about caring about his success rather than your success. I completely subscribe to that mentality. And yeah, thank you for sharing this. But let's circle a bit back. You said that you worked very hard when you started. Now, let's talk more about you. So, in your opinion, what do you think is the thing that made you successful? Was it really hard work? Like, did you put in more time than the rest of your colleagues? Did you have a certain skill that really uplifted you? What would you attribute your success towards, in your opinion?
Look, when you say success, it's very relative, because you might see me successful, but I might see myself less than successful than I would want to be. Or, I would compare myself to others and say, I would have liked to be more successful. We will take success, as you are discussing it, as the possibility to grow. in your job. And yes, I have been able to grow in my job. Sometimes not between each and every job. Sometimes you take a job to learn. Sometimes you don't grow from a job to the other in terms of hierarchy, but you take that job to acquire new skills, to acquire new competencies. I believe the number one is the willingness to learn. This is the most important thing. And maybe we are lucky as part of Microsoft, because this is a company where you have the opportunity to learn every day. But you can learn from anything, meaning you can learn while watching a film, and or while reading a book, or while talking to someone. I think the most important thing for people to progress and to grow is the willingness to learn and the love of learning. So you don't learn just to know how to do your job, but you learn because you want that tomorrow you will be someone who is more knowledgeable than today in a given thing. It could be any subject. I believe number one is really learning from other, learning on the job itself, learning by putting some time for that, to develop yourself through training, through reading more, etc. So that for me is the number one. Number two is, um, you have ups and downs in your career. For a woman, for women we have one extra complexity, which is motherhood, and this is a period in life where your family will require a lot more time from you than a normal time. I mean, especially when you have small kids, you have to take care of them. You have to give them all the care. You have to, and that part in life is very frustrating. Why? Because you start, with your colleagues, the men, the women, and then you reach a situation. You are a mother, you're very happy, but yes, I cannot be as present as my colleague. And this is part of the equation and many women take a decision at that time in their life to stop working, or to, they kind of say, okay, for me, I want to prioritize my family. I will stop working. And here, this is where you need the extra energy. So you need to have a way to generate that extra energy that you need to continue doing what you're doing, and to add all, the workload that is coming from the family, and not stop. And here as well, you need support system. It's very important. You might not be lucky to have a support system. You might have a mother to help you. You might have a husband who is there and is available to help you, a sister. You might be able to get some help, or on the other hand, you might not have any of these. And it could be very, very difficult. So this is a very, a very critical part of a working woman's life that you experience. So for me, I had to go part-time for like 5 years. And I cannot tell you how frustrating this is. It's very frustrating, because, you see people who are with you progressing faster than you. And you have taken the decision to decelerate on your growth, healthy. So you have to have that hope, and you have to keep working on this and not stop, and say, no, I will not stop. I will do whatever. I will work probably part-time. I will be slower in growing than my colleagues, but at the end, I can probably in the future gain some pace and kind of being comparable to them. So all of these, it needs a lot of, you have to really kind of love what you're doing. You have to take a decision that I'm staying. I will keep doing things. I will put more energy. I'm tired, but soon I will be less tired, and this will be behind me very soon. So this is very important. And then, you reach, after that, you reach a situation where you can give more time to your work, so you go back to the normal pace, and you kind of keep learning, you keep kind of giving it, you keep doing everything you're asked to do, but with a lot of passion, with a lot of attention, so that you can do a good job.
So basically, this is, of course, very interesting for me. Um, are you doing this because of your passion for work? So is it what wakes you up in the morning and says, okay, I'm going to do this for the kids, and then I'm going to go do this for work? And we always talk about work-life balance, but like you said, work-life balance doesn't always work when you're a new mom. This is like the point in a woman's life where she either makes it or breaks it. And I don't think that there's a lot of guidelines on how exactly you can do this work-life balance thing. Like you said, we have to have a support system. And my question is, I think that women in technology are always less women because of the two reasons. Either they think that technology is too complex, it's too technical. If they have to be in this job, they're going to have to be super deep technical people. Or, like you said, because it's a very demanding job, they would rather go for a less, uh, demanding career, which I don't think is the case for a lot of people anymore. I think that girls really want to do that career stuff. They really want to progress. They really want to learn. Like you said, they have the passion. So, do you think that the people who would stop at that mom phase, do they do it for the family, or do they do it because they don't really like the job?
Look, I think they do it because, again, for the same reason, maybe for the family. I'm not sure that someone would not like this job. I think we are fewer in this job, and I don't think it's harder than the other jobs. Meaning, I see people around me. Meaning, you can be a medical doctor. That's a very tough job, and there are many women who are very good at doing this. You can be an architect. My daughter is an architect. She spends a lot of time, meaning her work is so demanding, and you see a lot of women going for architecture. I think there's an education problem, and I believe it starts with childhood, because now if you look at video gaming, and video gaming is one of the technology that would create that passion for technology in kids. So if they are gamers, they start exploring this technology, they start developing that passion, and they might choose to be into technology because of that initiation. Look at boys playing video games versus girls playing video games. Meaning, you find one girl versus 10 boys, maybe. And I don't know why. It's probably due to the education. It's due to how we were raised, how we are raising our kids. There needs an effort, an intentional effort to be done by the educational systems, by the parents, to encourage girls more into technology. Now, it's true that technology has its particularity, because you have to be always aware of the changes that are happening, because by default, this is a technology that is ever changing. So you have to have that pace. You have to be there always to learn again. You cannot skip a year. You cannot skip 2 years in technology and then come back and say, I'm back to work. It doesn't work like that. You can do it probably in law. You can do it in, I don't know if you're an educator, or you can catch up. Here you cannot catch up. You have to keep running as this evolution is running. I guess there should be an intentional effort to be done with young girls to create that passion for technology, and we are all responsible for that. If we are parents, if we are educators, if even the government itself, even whatever, we need to do that. And after that, I think it will not be the case. I mean, we need more technology, more people into technology. So if we go back to, I know that now in universities it's better, but if I go back to the time I was at university, it was very few, meaning very few, young ladies studying computer engineering. very, very few compared to the boys. So this is why you see more men now. But I think we need, all of us, we need to kind of put the effort and change this. We need to encourage our daughters to play a video game rather than playing with a doll, or there's something that needs to be done here to start this and to create this effect of creating that passion for technology in young girls.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Like everyone has a responsibility to change that, and I agree with your point. Like it doesn't really, there's no explanation as to why men really resort to some specific things like gaming, and women. Like I don't agree with the fact that men and women are different, and like there's a certain genetic trait that allows men to get attracted to certain things like gaming, but women not. I disagree with that. So I think it's more of raising awareness and education, as you said. Exactly, for sure. But you mentioned something about growing up in university, you didn't have a lot of women there. Could you expand on maybe some of the challenges you faced as a woman, that challenge that you faced getting into the tech industry, and maybe you could shed some light on this topic, just specific to you?
uh, Look, in the career itself, and looking at it from a macro perspective, I cannot say that there are lots of challenges, but if you go micro, yes, meaning you would have been through a situation where you feel it's not fair. I don't know, all these, big meetings where you have everyone there, and then, they choose, let's say, football as an example to prove something. And you see that everyone around you is very knowledgeable in football, and you're nowhere. And I don't know why it's a man subject by default, but you see that everything is done around what interests the man. And you see that women, probably in many of the cases, they try to kind of, bend and change to understand that. So you see, like, yes, okay, probably I need to know more about football. And then you start, following up what's happening in football. And then you realize, I don't like football. I don't want to know anything about football. Why do I have to do that effort? Why don't they be more inclusive in terms of, creating or talking about the right examples? It is about as well a very, very important aspect, and it is more probably in our region. We are raised as women to think a lot about our looks. It's very important to us, but as well, it's very important to the people around us. So, you see parents who are proud because they have a beautiful daughter, or because their daughter is well presentable. Whereas sometimes they are proud because their son doesn't care about his looks, So, and when you go to work, even in the way women dress at work, they are expected to come very presentable and impeccable, and it is considered part of the success in some of the cases of women, meaning she has to come in a specific, to show in a specific way, and she has to have that at the same time and have her competency in the job she is doing. So, and she has to balance as well, because while she is showing that, she's presentable and probably good looking, she should not go, beyond and being provoking or something like that. So there is always that effort that you have to do. How should I come? How should I look? What is the right balance? Why do we have to really put a lot on this? And we don't know how to do it differently. It's part of how we are. It's part how we are raised. And again, I believe everything, the difference we see in the workplace is not due to any genetic difference. The genetic difference, it doesn't change anything. It's really due to educational and societal changes and not changes, but differences between women and men, and what is expected from a man and what is expected from a woman. So these points are I don't want, I can go into specific examples, but for example, you go into, you are in a meeting, and then you express yourself on a given subject, and you go hard on expressing yourself. So you kind of are, you are very emotional, and you kind of shout, and then they tell you, this woman is trying to do like this in order to prove her strength. Whereas if a man comes and gives they say, oh, he's very determined, he's very strong, and they tell you, no, you are a woman, and your strength is in how soft you can come into expressing something. So there are a lot of standards that you have to abide to, and the standards that your colleagues, your male colleagues, have to abide to are like a lot less, lots of standards for you to be successful, not only doing your job correctly, but a lot of things around this. Coming softly, why? Because if you shout, you are a little bit masculine. If you kind of are a little bit, soft, she's very feminine, she's not into technology. So you always have those things, and they are kind of hard. You learn how to deal with them, and it depends on how lucky you are, and on the work group you have, and how inclusive they are. But these are examples of things that you can get. You can get someone, a colleague, or someone calling you, for example, hi beauty, كيفك يا حلوة, like we say in Arabic.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Would you hear it? Would you see a lady calling a man the same way, or a man calling a man the same way? I know that it comes out of the way we live every day, but it's very insulting. It's very insulting. Although you like being a beauty, but it's not in this. It's not in this environment that you want someone to call you by that. So these are, some examples, but definitely you learn how to work with it. And I cannot say it's very hard, because it's part of what we do. But definitely it's easier sometimes to do the job while you are a man than while you are a woman, for these reasons in specific.
Okay. Wow, intense. Um, I think so too, because when you read the statistics, it always says that the number one reason why women wouldn't be happy in this industry is because they're not taken seriously. And you said a sentence, you said she's pretty, or like uh, she's looking nice, so she can't be into technology. And that's something. That is a thing. Like when you look presentable, they wouldn't expect that you're a technical person, or like you're a strong engineer that's working in technology technically. So I don't know how that stigma came to be. Maybe you were here around for longer than we are. Do you see progress since you started and since we are starting now?
Look, it's way different now, because people are intentional about it, at least. And I know that this intentionality sometimes creates a frustration, because they say, yes, we want to recruit for this role, and we are looking for a diverse candidate. And then this diverse candidate comes and takes this role, and she deserves it. But people might say, yes, she was recruited than the other person because she's a woman, and they are looking for diversity. So this intentionality in creating the diversity is very essential. It has made things a lot better, but at the same time, it creates a little bit of frustration from both sides, because as well you are there, and you are challenged more to prove that you are good, because you believe that other people are believing you took it because you are a lady, and they are looking for a diverse candidate. So but it is easier. I think people accept it. I think people understand it. I think today we have the possibility as well, and the means to not to accept any action or anything that would not be, that would let us feel that we are less equal. And not only in gender diversity, but in any diversity. I think people are really intentional about that. And it has been proven that whenever you have, your work group has to be a mirror of your society. And whenever it is, you are more successful as a work group and as a team. And I think we are on the right track. We are way better than before. Now, as a parent, I believe again we have to work a lot on how we raise girls versus boys. And I don't think on that in particular there are lots of efforts that are being done. There are lots of effort in the workplace, but I believe there needs to be more effort at home, in schools, and in universities. And the effort is not to make sure that you have the balance between both, but it is on how you deal in educating, and mainly maybe not the universities, maybe home and K to 12, or at least the early years, in forging the personalities of young girls, but as well of young boys, to help, because at the end, we work, we live together, we work together, and we support each other. So it's when you teach your daughter that you have to open your horizon and think of any type of job. You can do anything, you can do whatever your hearts tell you and your mind tells you to do, but at the same time you can tell your son that you have to learn that you have to support your other your sister, your friends, but as well any person who is different from you. And you have to support them as well to be as successful, and you have to accept them, and you have to work hand in hand in them. So I believe that is an effort that I'm not sure how it's very hard to reach out to parents today. And I don't believe there's a lot of efforts in that. I think parents are learning this as they are, in the workplace. So they come back and they apply a little bit at home. But I believe there should be more, work being done on that side, and schools balance. They really have to help merging or building the capacity and building the potential in both girls and boys, or in as they look at being inclusive for any person, whoever and whatever, and how she or he is.
Yeah, you touch on a lot of important things. I mean, I think the most important thing to know here is that when it comes to education, we have to educate both men and women, because you know obviously you want to educate women that it's okay to get into tech, etc., and you're going to face some challenges, but you also have to educate men that when women get excited about something, that doesn't mean they're not feminine, or so. But my point is that you have to educate both men and women at home, in order for that to work. So yeah, I think that's something very important you touched on. If we want to maybe pivot a bit on the topic of leadership. So I've heard a lot of a lot of people, and I've read a lot of articles saying that the leadership style of men and women are different. First of all, do you subscribe to that mentality? And second of all, how would you describe your leadership style?
The leadership of every person is different from the other, whether they are men or women. But definitely, statistics show that men maybe are more they kind of have a higher authority. And again, this is back to the education. Maybe women are more democratic in engaging in things, and more emotional, because look, in leadership probably you don't hear a lot of discussions around how how does the emotion comes to play in the leadership. And it's a very, very important one. In Microsoft we look at 3 points when we talk about leadership. It's model, coach, and care. Okay. And there's a lot of there's a lot, when you say care, it's a lot of emotions, caring about someone. And I think by default, maybe this is one of the advantages we bring. It's the care aspect that, a woman could bring. And it's because of how she is, especially when she's, she goes through motherhood, that care aspect is very developed with her. Very developed, meaning, and you don't use it only with your family, you start using it all around. So if I want to go back to myself and talk about my leadership style. Look, I believe in teams. So I am someone who, in terms of leadership, I believe in teams. So the leadership is really about being able to create a team, being able to create, an aim or a vision or a mission for that team, and getting everyone around the table to come and to participate, and making sure that everyone is participating. I'm not into micro. I'm more into kind of looking at the result and allowing the people to find their best way in achieving that result, but definitely at the same time making sure that they know that you are here to support. So not leaving people by themselves, but allowing them to to use their creativity to produce, and but making sure that they know that anytime they feel it's hard or there's a need for help, you are there, and by checking on them very, very regularly.
Wow. Yeah, I guess so. I guess with the care stuff, women are quite different leaders, and we see it. We see how successful we are, so it's great.
Okay.
Um, Time flies, by the way. We've been talking for almost the hour. So I want to ask a closing question to you, to our viewers, to girls and boys starting off their career in technology. What would your advice be looking forward for them?
I would say you guys are lucky because you're embarking into a technology that has been you're embarking into an industry that has been democratized to the end of everyone. It's becoming it's something that is there. It's something that will be used with everyone. So working in this industry today will create the highest impact. So for people, I believe each one of us cares about the impact he produces, he leaves, or around him. And I really encourage young girls and young boys. And the way this is changing, it will not be the same as we see it today. But I believe soon any kind of job will have this technology dimension. And I believe we will start seeing kinds of technology jobs that are aligned to other industries. So you would be into technology in financial services, or into technology in medical services, and this is already there, or into technology in manufacturing, and I believe this is, at least it's becoming a very, very wide opportunity for everyone. And starting there, you don't have to choose your end job or your end industry. You just start there, and then from there, you will go and embrace any kind of thing you like, like before they used to tell you, start with math, and then you can choose whatever you want to do, meaning technology is becoming the basis for anything you would want to do with your life. So I really encourage everyone to start there and then to choose whatever they want to do, afterwards, depending on their passion, depending on the opportunity, depending on where they are, depending on where, they have more openings, etc. And again, learn every day something. Whatever you're doing, just learn, and we have the opportunity. So today you cannot say a single word. I go and I search it and I know about it and I learn something. Learn every day something. Be happy in what you're doing and enjoy what you're doing. These are the main things: learning, happiness, and joy. Because when you really have these three always, happening for you, you can progress and you can grow.
Yeah, love that. So yeah, learning, happiness, and joy for sure. And also, as you said, the awareness that tech is gonna be a big thing in the future. I mean, it's already a big thing, but it's gonna expand to a lot of areas like education, marketing, even law. I mean, you're gonna like if you're gonna get into tech, I mean, you don't have to be in a tech company. You can also be in a like a law firm or an educational firm. So yeah, love that, love that. So Huda, I mean, we could spend a lot of time, a lot more time talking to you. It's such a pleasure having you here. I mean, we really enjoyed this conversation with you, and it's such a pleasure having you. We're really mindful of your time, so we don't want to take much more of it. And I just want to end this by, saying a big thanks to you and for being here and for sharing your amazing insights. So thanks a lot.
A lot. Thank you, Abdullah, and thank you, Ben. It was really very, I enjoyed it. Thank you really once again for having me, and good luck in whatever you're doing.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
so much.
much.
And I
Thank
really
you.
want to to do this again, honestly, with you because maybe Beirut later we'll come visit. We'll sit down for
I hope
coffee.
so.